Hi, good evening all. So I believe most of us are back from the prolonged festive season which ran for 2 weeks, in the last 2 weeks, which started from Christmas and then it ended up last week with a plethora of events coming from different regions of the country, which has been very happily celebrated. Now, wishing all of you a very happy new year. I believe in the fact that all of us are right now filled with more confidence, more energy. We have started getting more optimism, more positivity into ourselves. We have got higher energy to achieve our goals that we have set for ourselves, both in the workplace as well as in the personal space, and also towards the efficient planning to achieve those particular goals, and also to be more responsible towards the well-being of our loved ones, our family, which I think we're doing a great job already, but we need to plan in order to make things better and achieve those goals in a more efficient manner. So, as I committed in the last podcast, that I would be coming back with another podcast and a series of podcasts in the year 2018, since I myself is filled with a lot of energy and a lot of positivity and optimism this year. I have good hopes and I believe to work harder and harder, along with some real good and smart and intelligent work to be done. So here I go with the first podcast of 2018, on which I will be focusing on lot of negativity and curbing down the optimism and the positivity which needs to be imbibed in a person to grow. Let's talk about it. Now, before I start telling you about tactics to get rid of fear and to start having patience, which I believe should be the reverse order of fear and lack of patience to lack of fear and patience. Let me tell you some real harsh facts which I have found out after studying a lot, after carrying out a lot of research and trying to synchronize the research with what I have faced in my real life while working in sales for the past 6 years. Let me talk about that. The first fact about sales, which is true but very harsh. It could be a reason for demotivation, but we should not ignore the facts. The first fact about sales is that 63% of your market segment who has been showing interest in your company and has been asking you questions repeatedly about your company, about your capabilities, about your pricing, about your working structure, about your methodologies and a lot of things. 63% of the market audience asking you questions about your company won't be purchasing in the next 3 months. And a harsher fact, 20% of those audience won't be purchasing in the next 12 months. And the rest have chances of purchasing. So we might debate and we might discuss, we might say a lot of things, but the smoother and swifter a sales process is, the more chances of it of getting closed is higher. Just because a customer starts asking you about your company and credibilities and a lot of other information about your company, you should not bank upon those customers completely to meet your targets. You should continuously focus on building the pipeline. One question, one query is nothing. The statistics clearly mention that 83% of those audiences won't be purchasing from you in a minimum time span of 3 months, stretching up to 12 months. And another harsh fact about sales is, at any given point of time, when you are busy with your sales cycle activities, at any given point of time in the entire year, 3% of the market audience are only ready at that point of time to purchase. Whereas 56% of the market audiences are not ready to purchase and 40% are poised to getting ready for purchase. So at any given point of time, you just have 3% of your entire segment of the market whom you are targeting to get revenue from. That calls for some real efforts and real smart work. You need to identify the customers. Identifying customer mentality is very important. From the very initial call, you need to start evaluating the purchase probabilities of that customer and then lay your focus accordingly. If you start banking on customers whose purchase potential is not that much, you are wasting your time, your company's time, and could be in some instance the customer's time as well. You should keep them for future references and not stop following up with them rather. You should always do that. Follow up is very important, since Kellogg's have come up with a new research that in today's sales activity, it takes 8.25 follow-ups to get business from a particular client. Wherein, if I talk about 5 years back, it was 4.25 trials per prospect. So follow-up is important, but evaluating and understanding where you need to devote your time more is even more important. So these two facts are true about sales. Now let's talk about the fear and lack of patience. If I talk about the Greek philosopher Aristotle, he has always mentioned one particular thing. The most important virtue of your life is your happiness and your well-being. If you are not happy from within, you can't expect anything else to give you happiness. You should stop having expectations from anything else if you are giving up on yourself. So the first most important thing is happiness. If you are happy, you will automatically get the power to overcome your fear, and you will start being patient because your mood is good. Your mood is jovial. Your mood is happy. So on one side you have happiness, on the other side you have expectations. And these both might run parallel to each other, but they'll never meet up. And what makes you successful is your happiness. So learn to be happy all the time. That's the most important point. Talking about fears, the most common fear a salesman or a salesperson or a marketing professional have in the job is not able to meet their targets and the company asking them to resign or leave or terminating them. So you think you don't have a guarantee for your job. And what guarantee do you hold that you will be living tomorrow? What guarantee do you hold that you won't be having an accident? The only factor which gives you confidence is I'll be safe tomorrow on the roads everywhere, and that will ensure that I'll be safe and nothing will happen. I'll take care of my safety, so nothing's gonna happen to me. That's a really good point. But why don't you use the same thing on your job? I'll give my 100%. I'll give all my efforts. I'll not leave any stones unturned when it comes to hard work, smart work, and giving all what I have. If you understand your potential, you don't need to believe in the fact that there is something called 200%. If you don't know your potential, you feel you have given your 200%. If you know your potential, 100% is more than enough. That's everything you have gotten, something which will lead you to success. So in terms of life, if you believe, if I be safe, nothing's gonna happen to me, you also need to believe in the fact and utilize the same thought in your work process. If I give my 100%, if I give my 100% efforts, if I focus on hard work, if I focus on smart work, I'll be able to deliver result. And if I'm not able to deliver result giving 100% of mine with my full potential, then this is something which is could not be my cup of coffee. I'm meant for something better. That's the reality of life. Talking about fear and lack of patience, let me give you two really interesting examples. I think last time in the last podcast I have given the example of the very famous singer by the name Sia, who has sung the song Cheap Thrills. Two more examples of two personalities whom the entire globe knows. A person who was interviewed along with 23 other candidates in China when KFC came into China for the first time. And to the real surprise, the 23 people got selected and one person was rejected. So out of 24, 23 has been selected and they have got the offer from KFC to work with them. One person was rejected. Any guesses who that person is? You will be surprised to know in case you don't know the answer. The person today is the richest man in China with a value of worth $27.5 billion. His name is Mr. Jack Ma. He is the owner of the e-commerce giant Alibaba. In 1985, Steve Jobs was thrown out of his own company by the then Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Scully, who, after a board meeting, decided to uproot Steve Jobs from the authority of the management for Macintosh. He was thrown out in 1985 from his own company. He started again. He built it up. And today, Apple is what we know for Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, Jack Ma has been dropouts of college. Although I think that it's a very vague logic of talking about success and being a motivation, because they were dropout from Harvard, not from any ABC colleges. But that's okay. So if we have these type of motivations and we keep reading about them and we always praise about them, then what's the point in fearing when we just have praises for them? Why don't we learn something? Even if we are not able to reach up to that level, but there is something called motivation. And what about getting motivated by these people? Jack Ma, Steve Jobs. And this is not true that they didn't fear anything. They were afraid. They had to earn money. They had to run their families. But these things never stopped them. They never stopped trying. And the only thing they focused was giving their 100%. When Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk, the CEO and chairman of VaynerX Media in the United States, took over his dad's business of wines, which valued $3 million. He took it over, and within a span of 1 year, he has taken that value of that wine business to $60 million single-handedly, when his dad was not able to do anything. He did that hard work. And today, at any of his seminars, I don't find a gathering of less than 25-30,000. That's the minimum gathering he addresses to. So what's the fear all about? Giving excuses and being afraid? Most of us might get the feeling that our problems are something which people will not understand. Let me be more brutally honest to you. It's not that people won't understand, they are least interested and they don't need to understand your problems, because your problems is not their solution. People today are more concerned about getting solutions and getting business and being successful. Your problems will not lead to anything. And in my last podcast, I have told what Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk has quoted. A lot of people come and say that my great-grandfather was a great alcoholic, I lost my parents in a flight accident, and I have lost my limbs and arms and this and that and all these excuses. The world doesn't care. So how long will you be able to get away with excuses? It's your excuses learn to fight and learn to stay with that and work. Your excuses won't be creating some kind of sympathy and empathy into people, and they'll not excuse you. That's a very, very clear fact for today's world. It's a fast moving world. There are no time. We really lack time. So fear and lack of patience will just put you more and more down in your life. If you have that fear and lack of patience, not only sales and marketing, but any job on this planet Earth won't be able to give you that much of happiness. Even if it's a normal typewriting job where you don't need to use your brains, you won't be able to deliver the results the way it should have been. So, what I suggest is start reading motivational stories and cut out negativity from your life. Be more positive, more optimistic, more real, and more practical. Rather than, surrounding yourself with fears and negativities and any kind of demotivations and people coming and telling you something. How does it matter what people say you? What matters is what you are. And the moment you are at your best, the society will shut sometime down, because no one gives a damn today of what your sadness is. What matters, we don't remember Jack Ma and Steve Jobs for their struggles. We remember Jack Ma for Alibaba and Steve Jobs for Apple. And that was their success stories. We are interested to know, and that could be a reason to get motivated, but we don't know them for the hardships they have faced. We don't know Jack Ma because he was rejected by KFC. We don't know Steve Jobs because he was thrown away by Scully from his own company Macintosh. We know them because the products that they have created in the market, and they have beaten all bushes, cut all thorns, and have been there where we have come to know them. So there's no point putting yourself down all the time. Rise up. If you find any negativity, fill yourself with so much positivity that that particular negativity washes away. That's how the fear and lack of patience will reverse itself to lack of fear and patience. The more patient you are, the less afraid you will be. And the more happy you are, the less fear you will have and more patience.